Greetings, people of the internet. This is Scott with Serkworks, back with part 2 of my demonstration on how to kind of spice up your trade show booth or Comic-Con booth using foam sculpture. Specifically XPS foam, which is the really rigid blue and pink foam that you'll find at hardware stores. So anyway, if you saw the first one, you saw how I cut out some of the shapes using hot wire tools. So now I'm going to show you guys a little bit of the tools that I use for sanding, which is the next step. So as you can see, some of this has already been sanded. That's why it's real smooth right here. And what I did was anything that I've glued on, like right here, onto another piece, because it's difficult to sand once you've kind of glued on, that I've already figured out what needed to be sanded, and I've sanded all those, like these pieces up here, all the sides. What I didn't sand yet was like right up here. See how messed up that looks? I'm going to take a sander to that. And basically the idea why I did that was I just wanted to, when you're stacking things like that, you don't always know what's going to be the right size. Like if you look at this, I've left all these areas around here where there's this pin stylus, which is part of the logo. I've left that out because I need to sand around this part. I've already sanded this, but I need to sand around this part before, so I can glue this down, and then I can glue these pieces down. And once those are all glued, everything's glued on, then I'll go in here and I will sand that down. But let me show you a few of the tools that I use. Also, let me talk about some of the glues and stuff first. This is what I've been using. This stuff works really great. It's called Glidden Gripper. Again, this is sold at hardware stores, Home Depot, Lowe's, Ace, whatever. I assume. I don't know who all carries what brand or whatever, but anyway, you can find it on the internet, of course. But this stuff works really good. It's a primer sealer, but it bonds foam really well. But you just brush it on. That stuff works great. I used to use this. It works okay. You got to be kind of careful when you're spraying aerosols because it will eat away the foam. The glue, not so much. It works pretty good, especially if you coat it, because that'll give it an extra bond. If you use a hard coating, which I will do after that, you can see this green stuff has sort of it's got a hard coating on it. Let me turn it around and show you that. You can kind of see those little yellow blotches there. That's the hard coating, and then it's been painted, on top of that. But this stuff works okay for quick fixes. But this is really what I've been using. And you can always use like a wood glue or an Elmer's. That stuff works okay. Again, you don't want to use a lot of aerosol glues because it can eat away at the foam. You just got to be careful with stuff like that. And a thing about aerosol cans, sprays, even spray paint or whatever, sometimes that can come in handy because sometimes that's a texture you might want. For instance, you could make a template, say, of a letter, spray it, and it will recess that area, and it'll kind of be, it gives it kind of a real rough look to it, almost kind of like sandblasted. But sometimes, there's all kinds of weird things you can do to foam, like acetone will eat away at the foam too, and sometimes if you want it like a moon, kind of like a moonscape or something like that, you got to be kind of careful. You can put it in a spray can and it'll sort of eat away in it and give this real rough texture. So there's a lot of really cool things like that you can do, which maybe I'll show you on a future video. But let me show you some of the sanding tools. Really just these foam sanding blocks work real good. This one I really like because it's kind of it's edged like that, so there's certain areas you can get into with this little angled edge. This is like one of my new favorite sanding tools. These they're foam. You can wrap around. You can get in like if you need like a curved area like that. But for starters, I use these, and these are just like wood shaving tools, and all this stuff can be found at hardware stores again. This has got a little angle to it. You can see it's a little curved, so you can. Hold on a second. When you can kind of curve in like that, and once I'll show you in a minute. I'll put this on the tripod and I'll actually do some sanding. This is a little more. This is for straight areas, or if you want to just carve a groove right down in the foam, you can do that. A file like this works really good. Basically anything that you can sand away at the foam. I've used all kinds of different things. An emery board for small areas. You can wrap regular sandpaper around a pencil. If you've got like a little small area, like a round area you want to get, like when I go to do this inside this this wrench here, I'll cut it out with the hot wire, and then I'll probably use some sort of a round sanding tool for that. Excuse me. So let me just demonstrate how this stuff works, and I'll be right back. Okay, so let me show you some before and after real quick. Again, we're going to start with this tool here. This is the wood shaving tool, and that'll, you know, before this was just blocks, basically blocks of foam glued down. I used this, carved away at that. It's real rough. The next step is to use these foam blocks, and then you can see got a nice smooth texture to it. So, and these pieces are part of my it's kind of a wacky mad scientist laboratory / factory theme that I've got going on. So let's get back to the kind of three-dimensional logo that it's going to be part of my display. Again, this, you can kind of see this is real rough up here. So I'm going to start and smooth some of this stuff down using the wood shaving tools. And I'm just kind of going around this shape that's on top that I've already kind of carved out. You know, the harder you press, the further down and it works really well because, again, these are made for shaving wood, so, you know, foam is like nothing to it. So sometimes you got to be careful. You don't want to, you know, do too much. But here you can see it's kind of. I just want to make sure I'm in the camera here. There's a big piece right up here, so I'm just going to shave that part right off. So it's level with the piece with the blue that's down below, the blue foam. Again, let's go to the other side. Yeah, and I should mention that this is messy. You should have a shop vac. It's funny. I was doing a piece like this, and my shop vac just stopped working, and I was all covered with this blue and pink stuff. And I'm like, oh my God, am I going to go to the store and have to buy a new shop vac covered in this foam? What do I do? I mean, it's just, otherwise it's very difficult to get off. And I realized that I had an old one that it wasn't working that great, but I pulled it out and it worked fine and was able to get it off and everything. So yeah, definitely want to have a shop vac. This stuff gets very messy. Okay, so there I've kind of roughly carved around the edge, so it's all, you know, kind of matches with that. Now back to these sanding tools, or these sanding blocks. They're, you know, it's like a foam rubber, spongy. It's like a sponge with sandpaper on it. And this will get you a nice smooth texture to it. You know, and you can spend as much time sanding as you want. For this, I want it to look good, but I'm not. It doesn't have to be so perfect or so precise because it's going to be at a distance, and you know, the more time you spend on something like this, the more, you know, because, you know, in a lot of ways time is money, and if you're at a convention selling things, that kind of comes out of what you sell, the amount of time you put into something. But I think it's a good investment because it brings a lot of people to your, if you have a nice display, I think it's going to bring a lot of people to your table to just check it out, and then hopefully they'll like what you're, you know, the artwork or whatever you're, you know, selling. And again, I'm doing this for a Comic-Con booth, but, you know, any kind of trade show booth or whatever. I've been to, you know, trade shows where they just have these really boring, bland booths, and it really wouldn't take much to, you know, to spice them up if you know. So I don't want to film the whole process of this. It'll take a little while, but it does go along fairly fast. You can see right now already how much smoother it is. So I'm going to flip off the camera. I'm going to finish this up, But hopefully that'll give you a general idea of what you can do with these sanding tools, and how it reacts to the foam and everything. So thanks for joining me. I'm not sure what the next step is. It might be hard coating the foam, but we'll see. I've got some other parts of the display that aren't made out of foam that maybe I'll kind of show you what I'm doing on that too. So anyway, I'll be back for part 3 whenever that is, and whatever that is all.